The first players to find Obsidian Village were 5 unaffiliated players. 3 men and 2 women. Their equipment was ordinary, and their bodies carried obvious traces of dust, travel, and battle. Judging from their condition, they were probably not an advanced team sent by a corporation or a guild. They looked more like exploration players who had followed the announcement and forum clues all the way here. When they approached the trading shed, their footsteps clearly slowed. Not because they were afraid of Lin Yao, but because Zhao Tai was standing there. Zhao Tai was already a new trap formation recruit. Although his equipment was still not very good, only simple leather armor and an old saber borrowed from Gao Mu, his bearing was completely different from that of an ordinary NPC. He stood beside the trading shed, said nothing, and simply watched people. That alone was enough to create pressure. One of the male players could not help muttering in a low voice, "This NPC looks seriously strong." Zhao Tai lifted his eyelids. "You're the NPC." The player jumped in fright. The female player beside him immediately pulled him back and whispered, "Don't talk nonsense. The NPCs in this game are very real." Lin Yao stood inside the trading shed and spoke calmly. "Rules for outsiders in Obsidian Village. Do not approach the wooden wall. Do not enter the village. Do not pry into the territory's core facilities. Do not go to Broken Flag Slope on your own to pull flags, cut flags, or dig up military tags. Anyone who violates these rules will receive no shelter or rescue from Obsidian Village." The 5 players exchanged glances. The woman leading them stepped forward. Her name was Bai Ji. Her class seemed to lean toward support or herbalism. "We're not here to cause trouble. We want to buy information." Lin Yao nodded. "The trading shed has basic information." Uncle Joe hung out a wooden sign. The items available for trade were written on it. Obsidian Village temporary trade items. Clean water, limited supply. Accepted payment, grain, copper coins, tools. Low-grade wound cleansing talisman water, limited supply. Accepted payment, curbs, cloth, copper coins. Basic information on the Blackstone Wasteland, copper coins or equivalent supplies. Warning information on Broken Flag Slope, copper coins, ironware, or grain. Temporary rest campfire, charged per person. When the players saw the sign, their expressions all turned a little strange. This looked far too much like a rip-off shop in a beginner area. One male player could not help asking, "Even water costs money?" Zhao Tai answered directly, "You can go find it yourself in the wasteland." The player immediately shut his mouth. What the Blackstone Wasteland lacked most was a stable source of water. Obsidian Village being willing to sell clean water was already a very strong attraction. Bai Ji, however, remained very calm. "How much for the warning information on Broken Flag Slope?" Uncle Joe quoted the price Lin Yao had set in advance. 5 copper coins for 1 copy, or equivalent grain, iron nails, or herbs. The male player frowned. 5 copper? Isn't that too expensive? Lin Yao looked at him. More than one player team has died on Broken Flag Slope. Information is cheaper than resurrection. The other party had nothing to say. Bai Ji paid 5 copper coins without hesitation. Uncle Joe handed her a simple bamboo slip with several rules written on it. First, do not pull flags. Second, do not cut flags. Third, do not dig up military tags. Fourth, do not answer any calls. Fifth, if you hear your name being called, retreat immediately. Sixth, if a battlefield illusion appears before your eyes, drink talisman water or move away from the remnant flags. After Bai Ji finished reading it, her expression visibly became serious. Is all of this true? Lin Yao said, you are free not to believe it. Bai Ji immediately shook her head. I believe it. She looked back at her companions. Buy talisman water. The group pulled their supplies and bought 2 portions of wound-cleansing talisman water and 1 pot of water. They paid with several packs of dried rations and a small amount of herbs. For Obsidian Village, this trade was not large, but its meaning was important. This was the first time Obsidian Village had exchanged information and basic supplies for outside resources. After the trade was complete, Bai Ji did not leave immediately. She looked at Lin Yao, hesitated for a moment, and asked, "Are you the Lord of Obsidian Village?" Lin Yao did not deny it. Yes. The eyes of the other players changed at once. Although they had already guessed it earlier, hearing Lin Yao admit it himself still felt different. Bai Shi asked, "Does Obsidian Village recruit players?" Lin Yao glanced at her. This question had come earlier than he expected. Not for now. Bai Ji looked somewhat disappointed. Lin Yao continued, "But we can trade, and we can also issue temporary commissions." Bai Ji's eyes lit up. What kind of commissions? Grain, ironware, herb seeds, cloth, tools. You can bring them in exchange for water, talisman water, information, or future gathering slots on the outer edge of Broken Flag Slope. Bai Ji understood at once. Obsidian Village was not completely sealed off. It was now more like a regional stronghold. It could provide supplies and information, but it would not easily accept players into its core. For unaffiliated players, that was actually a good thing. Large guilds might not take them along. But Obsidian Village's trading shed at least gave them a path to participate in resource exploration in the Blackstone Wasteland. Bai Ji nodded. "I'll come again." Lin Yao said, "Remember. You may look around the outer edge of Broken Flag Slope, but do not touch the flags." After the 5 players left, Zhao Tai asked in a low voice, "My lord, will these outsiders listen?" Lin Yao said, "Some will. Some won't. And the ones who won't? Once they die once, the survivors will listen." Zhao Tai thought about it. That makes sense. Uncle Zhou sorted the traded supplies, and a faint smile appeared on his face. "My lord, if this continues, the pressure on our grain will ease a little." Lin Yao nodded. But he was not overly optimistic. The first group of unaffiliated players was relatively well behaved. That did not mean the ones behind them would be the same. Soon, a second group of players arrived. This time, it was a team of 8. Their equipment was clearly better. 2 of them had matching emblems on their chests. Not Dragon Court. It was a small guild Lin Yao did not recognize. When they arrived in front of the trading shed, their first sentence was already impolite. "So this is Obsidian Village?" Zhao Tai's eyes turned cold. Lin Yao raised a hand and stopped him. "Yes." The small guild player glanced over the trading sign and sneered. "You charge money for information?" "Yes." "Where is your lord?" "I am." The other party looked Lin Yao up and down. "You're the lord of Obsidian Village?" His tone carried obvious doubt. Lin Yao did not explain. The player continued, "We want to go inside the village and look around." "No." "We can pay." "No." The other party's expression darkened. "Brother, the Blackstone Wasteland is huge. You don't really think Broken Flag Slope belongs to you, do you?" Lin Yao answered calmly, "Broken Flag Slope does not belong to me. But Obsidian Village does." The player laughed coldly. "And if we insist on going in?" Zhao Tai stepped forward. The military momentum of the trap formation faintly rose from him. Another new trap formation recruit also tightened his grip on his spear. The atmosphere instantly became tense. The players in that team also reached for their weapons. Just as the conflict was about to erupt, Shi Sheng ran back from the outer perimeter and whispered to Lin Yao, "My lord, there is another group behind them." Lin Yao raised his head and looked over. In the distance, another dozen or so players were approaching. The person leading them was Chu He. Dragon Court had arrived. When the small guild player saw the Dragon Court emblem, his expression shifted slightly. After Chu He walked closer, he first glanced at that team, then looked at Lin Yao. "Lord Lin, we brought the ironware compensation." Two players behind him carried several bundles of tools. Iron pickaxes, iron shovels, iron nails, iron plates. The amount was not huge, but it was exactly what Obsidian Village urgently needed at the moment. When the surrounding players saw the scene, their expressions changed. Dragon Court was actually delivering compensation to Obsidian Village? What did that mean? It meant Obsidian Village was not an ordinary small village. At the very least, Dragon Court recognized its position in the Blackstone Wasteland. The small guild player's attitude immediately restrained itself. Shu He looked at him. "The Blackstone Wasteland has rules. Obsidian Village's trade area is not a place for you to cause trouble." The player's face looked ugly. "Shu He, since when did Dragon Court start guarding someone else's gate?" Shu He said lightly, "I am not guarding Obsidian Village's gate. I am reminding you not to get yourself killed before you even enter Broken Flag Slope." The player clenched his teeth. In the end, he still did not make a move. With a cold snort, he bought the cheapest information, then left with his people. Zhao Tai watched their backs and asked, "Should we keep an eye on them?" Lin Yao said, "Shi Sheng, remember their direction." Shi Sheng nodded, quietly followed them for a short distance, then returned. Shu He handed the ironware to Uncle Zhou. After Lin Yao inspected it, he confirmed that the quantity matched the contract. Trade contract completed. You have obtained one batch of basic ironware. Obsidian Village's construction efficiency has increased slightly. Shu He looked toward the trade area and said, "You move quickly." Lin Yao said, "After the announcement, players will come even faster." Shu He nodded. Dragon Court also plans to increase its investment in the Blackstone Wasteland. Lin Yao looked at him. "Are you here to inform me, or to test me?" Shu He gave a bitter smile. "Both." He did not hide it. The upper levels of the guild want to know whether Obsidian Village is willing to establish stable cooperation with Dragon Court. "Cooperation is possible," Lin Yao said. "But the rules are the same. No stationing inside the village, no approaching the village's core facilities, and no unauthorized movement in Broken Flag Slope's core area." Shu He was not surprised. What if Dragon Court wants to rent gathering slots on the outer edge of Broken Flag Slope? That can be discussed. Price? Ironware, grain, tools, combat support. Shu He nodded. "I will pass that on." He paused briefly, then lowered his voice. "There is one more thing." "Speak." "The people from the Shen Corporation are also asking about Obsidian Village." Lin Yao's eyes shifted slightly. "Shen Qianzhou. Second on the Lord ranking." The Shen Corporation. The real major players were about to enter the field. Shu He warned him, the Shen Corporation is different from Dragon Court. They follow more of a corporate lord route. If they decide Obsidian Village is blocking their path, they may directly use resources to pressure you. Lin Yao said calmly, "Then let them come and trade." Shu He looked at him. "And if they don't trade?" Lin Yao looked toward Zhao Tai beside the trading shed, and toward the new trap formation recruits patrolling not far away. "Then let them understand. Obsidian Village is not a resource point. It is a territory." Shu He was silent for a moment, then nodded. "Understood." That day, Obsidian Village's trade area received 6 waves of players one after another. There were unaffiliated players. There were small guilds. There was Dragon Court. There were also people who had clearly come to probe for information. Lin Yao did not let anyone enter the village. But the supplies in the trading shed gradually increased. There was a little more grain. The ironware had arrived. There were 2 small packets of herb seeds. They even exchanged for several rolls of coarse cloth. By evening, Uncle Zhou's face finally showed clear relief. My lord, if we ration according to the current plan, our grain can last 6 days. 6 days. That was a major relief. Together with the small first batch of Dark Spring emergency fields that was about to mature, Obsidian Village had finally escaped the crisis of running out of food within 2 or 3 days. But Lin Yao knew very clearly that this was only the beginning. The trade area brought resources. It also brought attention. Once there was more attention, trouble would follow. Sure enough, not long after night fell, a player hurried into the trade area. It was Bai Ji, from the first group that had come during the day. Her face was pale, and she was supporting an injured companion behind her. Lord Lin. Someone dug up half of a military grain talisman on the outer edge of Broken Flag Slope. Lin Yao's eyes instantly sharpened. The other half of the military grain talisman had appeared. Bai Ji's news made the area around the trading shed fall instantly quiet. The military grain talisman. Lin Yao already had half of one. That half had come from the auxiliary soldier's burial pit, and it pointed toward a military grain cellar that had once existed near the outer edge of the Lost Military Stronghold. If the other half of the military grain talisman had truly appeared, then Obsidian Village had a chance to locate the grain cellar. For the current Obsidian Village, the value of a military grain cellar was even greater than an ordinary piece of equipment. Grain meant population capacity. Population meant construction speed. Construction speed meant territorial strength. Lin Yao looked at Bai Ji. Who dug it up? Bai Ji caught her breath and said, a team called the Iron Hand Group. The group that caused trouble here during the day? Yes. Them. Zhao Tai laughed coldly. I knew that lot wasn't honest. Lin Yao asked, where did they dig it up? The northeastern side of Broken Flag Slope. A half-collapsed pit. Bai Ji continued, at first they thought it was just ordinary material, but after picking it up, they triggered a clue for the military grain cellar. The news has already spread. Several player teams are over there. The Iron Hand Group wants to sell the military grain talisman to a guild. Lin Yao's gaze darkened slightly. That was troublesome. If the other half of the military grain talisman fell into the hands of Dragon Court, the Su family, or the Shen Corporation, it would not be easy for Obsidian Village to get it back. More importantly, the military grain cellar might not only be a batch of grain. It might be an entrance into the Lost Military Stronghold's logistics system. If another force gained control of it, Obsidian Village would lose a key development opportunity. Lin Yao asked Bai Ji, why tell me? Bai Ji bit her lip. Our team was chased by soldier souls. Your talisman water saved us. And you warned us before not to dig randomly. Those people refused to listen, and now they want to sell the thing for a high price. She paused. I feel that if the military grain cellar really is in the Blackstone wasteland, it would be better if it didn't fall into the hands of people who dig recklessly. This reason was not entirely selfless. Bai Ji was probably also hoping to use this to build a relationship with Obsidian Village. But Lin Yao did not dislike that kind of exchange. She brought information, so Obsidian Village should give compensation. Uncle Zhou, give her 2 portions of wound-cleansing talisman water and 1 pot of water. Bai Ji froze. I didn't come here to ask for. Lin Yao said, "Information has value." Bai Ji was silent for a moment, then nodded. "Thank you." Lin Yao immediately gathered people. This time, they could not delay until tomorrow. The other half of the military grain talisman was being traded. The longer they waited, the more variables there would be. The departure team consisted of Lin Yao, Zhao Tai, Chen Hao, Shi Shang, one new trap formation recruit. Gao Mu stayed behind. Guan also stayed behind, but gave Lin Yao 3 portions of talisman water to carry. Shu He was still near Obsidian Village's trade area. After hearing the news about the military grain talisman, he took the initiative to come over. "Lord Lin, I can go with you." Lin Yao looked at him. "Dragon Court wants the military grain talisman too?" Shu He did not deny it. "We do." "Then why go with me?" Shu He said, "Because the Iron Hand Group has already contacted more than one force. If I don't go, other people from Dragon Court will. But if I am present, at least I can avoid direct conflict." Lin Yao looked at him. Half of what Shu He said was true, and half was strategy. He could indeed represent part of Dragon Court's attitude. But he also wanted to make sure Dragon Court was not completely excluded from the military grain cellar incident. Lin Yao thought for a moment and nodded. "Fine. But for now, we are not discussing ownership of the military grain talisman. First, we stop the reckless digging." Shu He agreed. "Good." The group quickly headed toward the northeastern side of Broken Flag Slope. On the way, Shi Sheng kept discovering new footprints. Several times more players had entered Broken Flag Slope tonight than during the day. After the announcement, players were swarming in like wolves that had smelled blood. Even though Obsidian Village had sold warning information, not everyone would buy it. And even those who bought it might not follow it. The closer they came to the northeastern side, the louder the noise became. Player arguments, soldier soul whispers, and the clash of weapons mixed together. Lin Yao soon saw a half-collapsed pit. At least 30 players had gathered around it. They were divided into several small groups. The Iron Hand group stood in the center. The male player who had tried to force his way into Obsidian Village during the day was holding half of a black talisman plaque, his face full of pride. "The item is in my hand. Highest bidder gets it. Don't talk to me about rules. We dug this out ourselves." Several small guilds around him were bidding. Some offered copper coins. Some offered equipment. Some were willing to exchange a batch of grain. When Shu He saw this scene, his expression darkened. "They're insane." Because soldier souls were already wandering around the pit. Those players had gathered for the military grain talisman, were making too much noise, and carried ancient battlefield items that had just been dug up. This was practically continuous provocation against Broken Flag Slope. Lin Yao walked forward. The crowd quickly noticed him. When the Iron Hand Group leader saw Lin Yao, his expression changed slightly, then he sneered. "Obsidian Village is here too? What, you want to buy it as well?" Lin Yao looked at the half-military grain talisman in his hand. Civilization analysis surfaced. Half-military grain talisman. Status, unpurified. Risk, the holder will attract logistics soldier souls and hungry resentment. Can be merged with the other half to locate the Lost Military Stronghold's grain cellar. The risk was very high. The Iron Hand Group leader clearly did not know what he was holding. Lin Yao said, "That item needs to be purified first." The Iron Hand Group leader sneered. "It needs to be purified just because you say so? You wouldn't let us enter the village during the day, and now you want to control what we dig up? Lord Lin, don't you think you're reaching too far?" The surrounding players began to discuss. Some stood on Lin Yao's side. Some felt the Iron Hand group had a point. After all, in most players' eyes, Broken Flag Slope was not the private property of Obsidian Village. Lin Yao did not argue with him about ownership. He only said, "The thing in your hand will draw soldier souls." The Iron Hand group leader raised the military grain talisman. "Then why am I fine?" As soon as he finished speaking, a low roar came from deep inside the pit. It was not a battle cry. It sounded like someone who had been starving for a long time forcing sound out of their throat. Everyone around the pit instantly fell silent. Inside the pit, withered hands stretched out of the black soil one after another. They did not keep military formation like ordinary soldier souls. They were thin, twisted, and hungry. Civilization analysis surfaced. Starved soldier souls. Origin: auxiliary soldiers and civilian laborers who died after the Lost Military Stronghold ran out of grain. Status: awakened by the military grain talisman. Trait: pursues the scent of grain and the holder of the military grain talisman. Danger level: medium. The Iron Hand group leader's face instantly turned white. The starved soldier souls in the pit raised their heads. Their empty eye sockets all turned toward the military grain talisman in his hand. Grain. Open the granary. Distribute grain. Hungry. The surrounding players immediately retreated. The Iron Hand group leader also tried to back away. But the military grain talisman suddenly heated up, and his palms seemed to be stuck to it. "What's happening?" He flung his hand in terror. "I can't take it off." Lin Yao's eyes turned cold. This was the result of failing to purify it. The military grain talisman had recognized him as the grain officer. And the starved soldier souls wanted him to open the granary. If he could not open it, these soldier souls would tear him apart. Zhu He immediately shouted, "Everyone fall back!" But it was already too late. The first starved soldier soul leapt from the pit and lunged straight at the Iron Hand group leader. The Iron Hand players attacked in panic. Their skill struck the starved soldier souls, but the effect was worse than against ordinary soldier souls. Because these were not complete military souls. They were shadows formed from hungry resentment. Ordinary blades were very difficult to kill them with. Guan's talisman water might be effective. But Lin Yao had only brought 3 portions. He could not waste them. He made a quick judgment. The goal was not to kill all the starved soldier souls. The goal was to purify the military grain talisman and cut off their pursuit. Zhao Tai, open a path. Chen Hao, guard the left. Zhu He, have your people suppress the surrounding players? Don't let them run wild. Zhu He answered at once. At this point, no one cared who was giving orders. If the players scattered chaotically, the starved soldier souls would spread. Zhao Tai led one new trap formation recruit forward. When a starved soldier soul lunged at him, his first saber slash almost seemed to cut through empty air. The soldier soul's figure only faded slightly before it lunged again. Zhao Tai cursed under his breath. These things don't cut solid. Lin Yao sprinkled a small amount of talisman water. When the starved soldier soul was struck by it, it immediately let out a sharp cry, and its figure visibly shrank. It worked. But talisman water was limited. Lin Yao looked at the Iron Hand group leader. If you want to live, don't move. The other party had already been frightened out of his wits. Save me! Save me! Lin Yao rushed in front of him and grabbed the military grain talisman. The hungry resentment on the talisman surged toward him at once. An illusion appeared before his eyes. A military stronghold. A sealed grain warehouse. Outside lay people who had starved to death all over the ground. Someone knelt before the warehouse doors. Distribute grain. Sir, distribute grain. The children have starved to death. Open the warehouse. A military clerk in charge of grain stood before the gate, his face full of despair. It was not that he did not want to distribute grain. There was no grain left in the warehouse. Yet the military order forbade him from opening it. Because the last batch of military grain had to be reserved for the defending soldiers. If the soldiers did not eat, the defensive line would collapse immediately. If the civilian laborers did not eat, resentment would rise to the heavens. In the end, everyone died outside the military grain cellar. Lin Yao felt tightness in his chest. This was not simple monster resentment. This was the most unsolvable choice in a chaotic age. When there was not enough food, who should receive it first? Soldiers? Civilians? The elderly? Children? The garrison? The refugees? Lin Yao gritted his teeth and used war soul protection to suppress the illusion. With his other hand, he took out wound-cleansing talisman water and poured it onto the military grain talisman. Hiss! Black resentment rose from the talisman plaque. The Iron Hand Group leader finally released his grip and fell to the ground. The other half of the military grain talisman landed in Lin Yao's palm. A system prompt sounded. You have successfully purified half of the military grain talisman. Do you wish to merge it with your existing military grain talisman? Merge. The two halves of the military grain talisman joined together in Lin Yao's palm. The moment the black talisman plaque became complete, all the starved soldier souls inside the pit stopped. They looked at Lin Yao in unison. Not attacking. Waiting. Waiting for the grain officer to open the warehouse. A system prompt surfaced. You have obtained the complete military grain talisman. You have obtained qualification to locate the military grain cellar. Hidden quest activated, the Lost Military Grain Cellar. Quest description: before the Lost Military Stronghold fell, the last military grain cellar was sealed. Countless auxiliary soldiers and civilian laborers died outside the grain cellar, and their resentment has not yet dispersed. Quest objective: find the military grain cellar, investigate the reason the warehouse was sealed, and resolve the resentment of the starved dead. Quest rewards: military grain, logistics building clues, trial of public morale. Lin Yao looked at the quest description, and his heart sank. Trial of public morale. Those 4 words meant the military grain cellar was not a simple dungeon for collecting grain. It might test how a lord distributed grain, and how he faced the choice between soldiers and civilians. The starved soldiers' souls did not disappear. They merely sank back into the pit. But everyone saw that, at the very end, they had lowered their heads toward Lin Yao. As though they were waiting for him to open the warehouse. The surrounding players were dead silent. The Iron Hand Group leader sat on the ground with a deathly pale face, not daring to speak. Lin Yao looked at him. Now, I am taking this. The Iron Hand Group leader's lips moved, but he did not dare refute a single word. Zhao Tai laughed coldly. Weren't you saying highest bidder gets it? The other party's face turned even paler. Chui walked over and looked at the complete military grain talisman in Lin Yao's hand, his gaze complicated. That item is very valuable. Lin Yao nodded. So it cannot be sold. Chui did not argue. He knew very clearly that if Lin Yao had not acted this time, the military grain talisman would have directly triggered a riot of the starved dead. The surrounding players also did not dare object. Because they had personally seen those starved soldier souls come only because of Lin Yao. Just as Lin Yao was preparing to leave, a gentle voice came from the distance. Lord Lin, something as important as a military grain cellar is probably too much for one village to swallow. The crowd parted. A young man in refined clothing, wearing a mild smile, walked out. Behind him followed more than a dozen well-equipped players and NPC guards. Shu He's expression changed slightly. Shen Qianzhou. Lin Yao's eyes sharpened. Second on the Lord ranking. The people of the Shen Corporation had arrived. When Shen Qianzhou appeared, the entire outer edge of Broken Flag Slope seemed to quiet down. Not because his voice was loud, but because the team behind him was too orderly. More than a dozen players, plus several NPC guards. Their equipment was a whole level higher than the unaffiliated players around them. Leather armor, iron swords, round shields, short bows, medicine packs, fire oil, and even 2 pack horses. In the early stage after launch, being able to assemble a team like this represented powerful real-world resources and organizational ability. Lin Yao looked at Shen Qianzhou. The other party was around his age, perhaps even a little younger. But his temperament was completely different. Shen Qianzhou stood on the chaotic outer edge of Broken Flag Slope as if he were standing in a clean, bright conference room. Unhurried. Unshaken. And he did not reveal much fear from the starved soldier's soul disturbance that had just occurred. This kind of person had grown up used to standing at the center of resources. He had not come to explore. He had come to negotiate terms. Shu He's expression was somewhat grim. Shen Qianzhou, you arrived quickly. Shen Qianzhou smiled slightly. If Dragon Court can come, naturally the Shen Corporation can come as well. His gaze left Shu He and landed on the military grain talisman in Lin Yao's hand. A complete military grain talisman. It seems I arrived at exactly the right time. Zhao Tai stepped forward, blocking Lin Yao's side. You want to rob us? Shen Qianzhou glanced at Zhao Tai, and a trace of interest flashed through his eyes. A special troop type? He did not answer Zhao Tai's question. Instead, he carefully observed the aura around Zhao Tai. No wonder Obsidian Village could obtain control over Broken Flag Slope. Zhao Tai did not like that look. It was like being treated as merchandise. He said coldly, "Seen enough?" Shen Qianzhou smiled. Even the temper is like a special troop type. Lin Yao spoke calmly. Mr. Shen, are you here to buy information, or to discuss a trade? Shen Qianzhou withdrew his gaze. Neither. He looked at Lin Yao. I am here to discuss cooperation. When the surrounding players heard that, their ears immediately perked up. The Shen Corporation cooperating with Obsidian Village? That was more topical than the military grain talisman itself. Lin Yao did not answer. Shen Qianzhou continued, Lord Lin, the military grain cellar involves more than just one batch of grain. It is connected to the Lost Military Stronghold's logistics line, and may even lead to the entrance of the weapon tomb. Obsidian Village has only just started. Your population, troops, and supplies are all limited. You cannot swallow this alone. Those words were unpleasant to hear. But they were not entirely wrong. The complete military grain talisman being in Lin Yao's hands did not mean the military grain cellar was already his. Finding the entrance, resolving the resentment, transporting the grain, and preventing other forces from taking it, every part required manpower. Obsidian Village was indeed still very weak. But Lin Yao would not hand over leadership simply because the other party had spoken one part of the truth. So, Shen Qianzhou raised his hand. A player behind him handed over a scroll. The Shen Corporation will provide manpower, grain, tools, and guards. We explore the military grain cellar together. Of all grain obtained, the Shen Corporation takes 60%, and Obsidian Village takes 40%. As soon as he said this, Zhao Tai laughed outright. You really dare open your mouth? Chen Hao also frowned. The military grain talisman had been obtained by Lin Yao. Broken Flag Slope had been suppressed by Obsidian Village. Now the Shen Corporation arrived and immediately wanted 60%. This was not cooperation. It was seizing the moment to drive down the price. Shui said nothing, but his eyes shifted slightly. He also wanted to see how Lin Yao would handle it. Shen Qianzhou seemed to have expected everyone's reaction and continued, "Lord Lin, do not think you are losing out. Without the Shen Corporation, once the military grain cellar opens, Obsidian Village may not be able to hold it alone. At that time, it will not only be the Shen Corporation. Dragon Court, the Su family, other corporate guilds, and even unaffiliated players will all come. Rather than letting everyone fall into a chaotic fight, it is better to cooperate first with the side most capable of action." His tone was very calm. But the meaning was clear. If you do not cooperate with me, there will be more trouble later. The price I am offering you now is a dignified choice. Lin Yao looked at him and suddenly asked, "How much grain can the Shen Corporation provide?" Shen Qianzhou's eyes moved slightly. He thought Lin Yao was beginning to waver. "The first batch can provide 500 units of basic grain." The surrounding players murmured in surprise. 500 units. For an ordinary small team, that was a huge amount. For a level 1 village like Obsidian Village, which had only just begun, it could greatly ease the pressure on grain. Lin Yao asked again, "Ironware?" 20 iron pickaxes, 20 iron shovels, a quantity of iron nails, and 2 blacksmiths who can provide temporary support. Guards? 20 players, 10 NPC guards. The terms were indeed generous. At least more direct than the conditions the Su family had first proposed. But Lin Yao knew very clearly that the Shen Corporation was not a charity. The more they gave, the more they wanted to take. The Shen Corporation wants 60% of the grain. What else? Shen Qianzhou smiled. Lord Lin is indeed direct. He held up 3 fingers. First, the military grain cellar's map and follow-up clues must be shared. Second, if a logistics building blueprint is discovered, the Shen Corporation has priority selection rights. Third, Obsidian Village must sign a 30-day non-aggression and priority trade agreement with the Shen Corporation. Chen Hao's eyes darkened. These 3 clauses were harsher than the 60% share of grain. Sharing the map meant exposing the military grain cellar route. Priority selection rights for logistics building blueprints meant the Shen Corporation wanted the most core construction rewards. A 30-day priority trade agreement meant tying Obsidian Village's early resource flow to the Shen Corporation. Before Lin Yao could speak, Su Qingli's voice came from the other side. The Shen Corporation is still so good at business. Everyone turned. Su Qingli walked out from behind a blackstone slope with 4 guards. She was still dressed in white, her expression faint. It was as if she had already been observing nearby for a long time. Shen Qianzhou was not surprised to see her. "Miss Su, you are late." Su Qingli looked at the military grain talisman in Lin Yao's hand. "Not late. At least I have not allowed the Shen Corporation to wrap up the entire military grain cellar yet." Shen Qianzhou smiled. "If the Su family has better terms, you may offer them." Su Qingli did not immediately state a price. Instead, she looked at Lin Yao. "Lord Lin, the Su family can provide partial ancient records regarding the military grain cellar." Shen Qianzhou's brows shifted slightly. Su Qingli continued, "We do not demand 60% of the grain. We do not demand priority rights to logistics blueprints. The Su family wants only 3 things." Lin Yao looked at her. "Speak." First, when the military grain cellar opens, the Su family sends 2 people to accompany the team and record events. Second, if ancient texts or talisman orders related to the weapon tomb are discovered, the Su family has transcription rights. Third, if Obsidian Village sells war soul materials in the future, the Su family has priority purchase rights under equal conditions. These terms sounded much gentler than the Shen Corporation's. But Lin Yao would not naively assume the Su family was kinder. The Su family wanted information and long-term access. The Shen Corporation wanted supplies and blueprints. Their strategies were different. At this moment, Shui also spoke. Dragon Court can provide combat strength. Shen Qianzhou and Su Qingli looked at him at the same time. Shui was calm. Dragon Court will not contest leadership of the military grain cellar. But if Obsidian Village needs combat support, Dragon Court can send a 10-person squad to assist. The condition is that Dragon Court receives participation slots for the military grain cellar dungeon or event, and 10% of the returns. Shen Qianzhou smiled. Shui, can you represent Dragon Court? Shui replied, at least in this matter, I can represent my team. The situation became subtle. The Shen Corporation wanted leadership. The Su family wanted information rights. Dragon Court wanted participation rights. And Lin Yao held the military grain talisman. Everyone looked at him. For an ordinary player, this pressure would have been enough to create panic. But Lin Yao was instead very calm. Because if all three parties wanted something, that meant Obsidian Village still had room to negotiate. The worst situation would be a single powerful side pressing down on him. Three sides entering at the same time could instead restrain one another. Lin Yao looked at Shen Qianzhou. 60% for the Shen Corporation is too high. Shen Qianzhou was not surprised. It can be discussed. Lin Yao then looked at Su Qingli. The Su family's transcription rights for weapon tune-related materials are too broad. Su Qingli smiled faintly. That can also be discussed. Finally, he looked at Shui. Dragon Court can receive 10% of the returns, but it must follow Obsidian Village's command. Shui nodded. Reasonable. Shen Qianzhou's eyes narrowed slightly. He realized Lin Yao had not been suppressed by the three sides. Instead, he had begun separating their demands. Lin Yao spoke. The military grain cellar will be led by Obsidian Village. The military grain talisman is in my hand, control over Broken Flag Slope is held by Obsidian Village, and the starved soldier souls recognize me as the grain officer. These 3 points decide that no one can open the cellar while bypassing Obsidian Village. These words were hard. But no one immediately refuted them. Because everyone had just seen that the starved soldier souls had indeed calmed because of Lin Yao. Lin Yao continued, the Shen Corporation can provide grain, ironware, tools, and blacksmiths. In exchange, you receive 20% of the military grain cellar's returns, and bidding rights for logistics blueprints, not priority selection rights. Shen Qianzhou frowned. 20% is too low. Then we do not need the Shen Corporation. Lin Yao answered quickly. Shen Qianzhou's eyes cooled slightly. Lin Yao did not retreat. What the Shen Corporation provides is resource support before the cellar opens. But the one truly bearing the main quest risk of the military grain cellar is Obsidian Village. If you believe the share is too small, you may choose not to participate. The atmosphere instantly turned cold. The corner of Su Qingli's mouth lifted by a barely visible amount. Shui watched with some alarm. Lin Yao was not merely being tough. He was betting that the Shen Corporation would not give up entry rights. Sure enough, after several seconds of silence, Shen Qianzhou did not turn hostile. 30%. 25%, Lin Yao said. Blueprint bidding rights? Under equal price, the Shen Corporation has no priority. Shen Qianzhou's brow furrowed even deeper. Lin Yao added, but the Shen Corporation may receive a summarized report on logistics building information. That was a step down for him. Shen Qianzhou thought for a moment. Acceptable. Lin Yao looked at Su Qingli. The Su family may send 2 people to accompany the team. Transcription rights are limited to non-core military orders and non-sealing content related to the weapon tomb entrance. Priority purchase rights for War Soul materials are limited to 30 days, and only valid under equal price. Su Qingli nodded. Accepted. Lin Yao looked at Chu He. Dragon Court provides a 10-person combat squad. You will follow Obsidian Village's unified command. Return share, 10%. Chu He nodded. Accepted. Finally, Lin Yao said, the remaining returns belong to Obsidian Village. Shen Qianzhou calculated. 25% for the Shen Corporation. 10% for Dragon Court. The Su family would not take a grain share, but would receive information rights. Obsidian Village retains 65% of the returns and leadership. For the Shen Corporation, this was not ideal. But it was not unacceptable either. After all, without the military grain talisman, they would not even have entry rights. Lin Yao added another clause. No party may privately dig, conceal military grain talisman clues, or attack Obsidian Village's residents or combat units. Violators will give Obsidian Village the right to terminate cooperation. Su Qingli nodded first. Chu He also nodded. Shen Qianzhou nodded last. Acceptable. The system contract was quickly generated. Multi-party cooperation contract, exploration of the Lost Military Grain Cellar. Leading party, Obsidian Village. Participating parties, Shen Corporation, Su Family, Dragon Court Squad. Core authority, the complete military grain talisman is held by Obsidian Village. Return distribution, Obsidian Village 65%, Shen Corporation 25%, Dragon Court 10%. The Su family does not participate in grain distribution, and receives limited transcription rights and trade priority rights. Restriction clauses, all parties are forbidden from private excavation, attacking allies, or concealing core clues. Confirm? Lin Yao confirmed. Shen Qianzhou, Su Qingli, and Chu He also confirmed one after another. The moment the contract was established, all surrounding players realized one thing. Obsidian Village had truly become the first player force in the Blackstone Wasteland capable of bringing the Shen Corporation, the Su family, and Dragon Court to the same negotiating table. Shen Qianzhou looked at Lin Yao and suddenly smiled. Lord Lin, you are harder to negotiate with than I imagined. Lin Yao put away the military grain talisman. Mr. Shen is also more capable of retreating than I imagined. Shen Qianzhou froze slightly, then his smile deepened. Interesting. Su Qingli looked at Lin Yao thoughtfully. The first time she met Lin Yao, she had thought he was an ordinary person chosen by the Blackstone Wasteland. Now, perhaps he was not only chosen. He was truly learning how to be a lord. Not a lord who merely distributed grain inside a village, but a lord who could hold leadership among multiple forces. After the contract was established, the complete military grain talisman suddenly glowed faintly. A black route appeared on the talisman plaque, pointing toward the northwest of Broken Flag Slope. A system prompt sounded. Lost Military Grain Cellar location activated. The entrance will appear tomorrow at dusk. Warning: when the military grain cellar opens, the resentment of the starved dead will awaken again. Please prepare accordingly. Lin Yao looked at the route pointing into the darkness. Tomorrow at dusk, the military grain cellar would open. This would be Obsidian Village's first true large-scale regional event conducted jointly with outside forces. It would also be Lin Yao's first time facing a true lord's test of grain distribution. After returning to Obsidian Village, Lin Yao did not immediately rest. He told the village core members the contents of the military grain cellar cooperation contract. Uncle Zhou, Lu Chang, Guan, Gaomu, Qingya, Zhao Tai, and Shi Shang were all present. Shen Hao also stayed to listen. After hearing that the Shen Corporation, the Su family, and Dragon Court were all participating in the military grain cellar, Zhao Tai was the first to frown. "My lord, I don't like that Shen Qianzhou." "I don't like him either," Shen Hao added. Uncle Zhou was more practical. "But the Shen Corporation can provide grain and tools." Lu Chang nodded. "With blacksmiths and ironware, the wooden wall, gathering points, and later barracks improvements can all progress much faster." Guan pondered and said, "The Su family wants transcription rights." On the surface, they are not fighting for grain, but in truth, they are taking something longer term. Gao Mu said coldly, "At least Dragon Court can fight." Their judgments were all accurate. That was exactly the value of the three sides. The Shen Corporation was supplies. The Su family was information. Dragon Court was combat strength. And those were exactly what Obsidian Village currently lacked. But introducing outside forces would also make the military grain cellar incident more complicated. Lin Yao said, "Tomorrow's military grain cellar is not only about taking grain." Everyone looked at him. Lin Yao showed them the parts of the quest prompt they could understand. There is starved resentment outside the military grain cellar. That means a failure of grain distribution once happened there. The grain inside the military grain cellar is not a chest reward. It is very likely tied to dead soldiers, auxiliary troops, civilian laborers, and the question of who should have received the last batch of grain. Uncle Zhou's expression changed slightly. Grain distribution. As the village affairs manager, he understood the weight of those words more than anyone. When there was enough grain, everyone could talk reason. When grain was not enough, every bowl of porridge could become hatred. Guan also sighed. The Taiping Dao was originally able to gather the people because of grain and medicine. During famine, whoever can distribute grain can gain public morale. But if the distribution is unfair, public morale becomes resentment. Lin Yao nodded. So tomorrow, if the military grain cellar truly opens, don't only look at the amount of grain. Look at what the resentment inside demands. If we only move grain, something may go wrong. Gao Mu looked at the complete military grain talisman. If an ancient army sealed a warehouse, there must have been a military order. You need to first investigate why it was sealed. Was the grain exhausted, or was there an order forbidding distribution? Lin Yao thought of the grain officer from the illusion. Was there really no grain in the warehouse? If not, where would the quest reward come from? If there was grain, why had so many people starved outside? There had to be a contradiction inside. Shen Hao listened until his head hurt. So tomorrow isn't entering a dungeon, killing monsters, and taking grain? Lin Yao said, "Probably not." Then what is it? Judging an old case. Shen Hao was silent for several seconds. This game is becoming less and less like a game. No one refuted him. Lin Yao began arranging preparations for the next day. First, the Obsidian Village team would include Lin Yao, Gao Mu, Zhao Tai, 2 new trap formation recruits, Shi Sheng, and Shen Hao. Second, medical support. Guan would not enter the military grain cellar core, but would set up a temporary treatment point outside. Xingya and Xiaolan would assist him. Third, village defense. Lu Chang and Uncle Zhou would stay behind. The trade area would pause for half a day. Fourth, supplies. Wound cleansing talisman water, bitter smoke grass, torches, ropes, grain bags, and wooden signs. Fifth, rules. Everyone entering the military grain cellar must obey Obsidian Village's unified command. Anyone who privately opened chests, hid talisman orders, or moved military grain without authorization would immediately lose eligibility for rewards. When Zhao Tai heard the last rule, he grinned and asked, "What if they don't listen?" Gao Mu answered for Lin Yao. "Then beat them until they do." Zhao Tai smiled. That I understand. Lin Yao did not object. Rules were not made by writing them down. They required people capable of enforcing them. Obsidian Village now had new trap formation recruits precisely so its rules would not remain mere words. After the meeting ended, Lin Yao went alone to the Lord's stone tablet. He took out the complete military grain talisman. The route on the military grain talisman was still faintly flickering. The Lost Military Grain Cellar. Time until entrance appearance, 20 hours. Hint: the Lord's choices will influence the direction of military morale and public morale. Military morale and public morale. This was the first time the system had clearly placed the two together. The trap formation camp represented military morale. The remnant scroll of the Taiping Dao represented public morale. The military grain cellar quest would very likely test the balance between the two. If Lin Yao favored the soldiers, military morale might strengthen, but public morale might suffer. If he favored the civilian laborers and common people, public morale might strengthen, but military morale might suffer. If the distribution was improper, both sides could resent him. This was unlike killing monsters, where there was a standard answer. This was a Lord's judgment. At this moment, Guan walked over. My lord is still thinking about grain? Lin Yao nodded. If there is not enough grain, who should receive it first? Guan did not answer immediately. After a while, he said, a physician would say, give it first to those closest to death. A soldier would say, give it first to those who can defend. An elder would say, give it first to the children. An official would say, give it first to those who can maintain order. Lin Yao looked at him. And what do you think? Guan sighed. In a chaotic age, there is no method of distribution that satisfies everyone. But at the very least, everyone must know why it is being distributed that way. People do not only fear scarcity. They fear not being told clearly. Lin Yao fell into thought. It did not necessarily have to be perfectly equal. But the reason had to be made public. This was the same as Obsidian Village's public grain distribution at the beginning. The villagers could endure hardship. But they could not endure being treated like fools. Guan added, Zheng Heng went astray back then partly because of this. He saw too many common people who did not believe explanations, and only believed talisman water. So he felt that instead of making people understand, it was better to make people obey. After enough time passed, he forgot that obedience is not trust. Lin Yao was silent. That sentence was important. Obedience was not trust. The trap formation camp needed obedience. The Taiping Dao's pacification of the people needed trust. A lord had to know the boundary between the two. The next day, Obsidian Village paused the trade area for half a day. A notice was hung on a wooden sign. Obsidian Village is handling a regional event today. Trading is delayed. Some players were dissatisfied. But when they saw the new trap formation recruits standing guard and the defense line behind the wooden wall, no one truly caused trouble. The Shen Corporation's supplies arrived before noon. 500 units of basic grain. Basic ironware. 2 blacksmiths. 5 laborers. Shen Qianzhou did not deliver everything promised at once. That was normal business practice. He first provided enough to show sincerity. The rest would be delivered after the military grain cellar opened. Lin Yao did not demand more. With the contract in place, at least on the surface, the Shen Corporation could not break its word. Su Qingli brought 2 record keepers. 1 man and 1 woman, both quiet types. She herself also intended to enter the military grain cellar. That was not unexpected. Dragon Court was led by Chu He. 10 players, all combat classes. Before dusk, all parties arrived at the northwestern side of Broken Flag Slope. The complete military grain talisman grew hotter and hotter. When the setting sun pressed against the edge of the Blackstone wasteland, the ground began to tremble. A black stone warehouse gate, half buried underground, slowly emerged from the wasteland soil. Ancient military seals were carved into the gate. In front of it stood countless starved soldier souls. They did not attack. They only raised their heads and looked at the military grain talisman in Lin Yao's hand. Countless hoarse voices sounded at the same time. Open the warehouse. Distribute grain. We are hungry. Why was grain not distributed? The Shen Corporation players' faces changed slightly. The Dragon Court members tightened their grips on their weapons. Su Qingli's expression became solemn. Gaomu said in a low voice, "Do not attack." Lin Yao stepped forward and raised the military grain talisman. The warehouse gate trembled. A system prompt surfaced. Entrance to the Lost Military Grain Cellar has opened. First stage, Open Warehouse Accountability. Please answer the question of the starved dead. In the next second, all the starved soldier souls asked in unison. The grain was in the warehouse. People starved to death outside. Lord, tell us. Who is guilty? The entire team instantly fell silent. Everyone's gaze landed on Lin Yao. The military grain cellar did not begin by asking them to fight monsters. It began by asking for judgment. Who was guilty? The military clerk who guarded the grain? The general who refused to distribute it? The civilian laborers who tried to seize grain? The soldiers who ate the grain? Or the war itself? Lin Yao looked at the dense mass of starved soldier souls and knew that his first answer would decide the direction of the entire military grain cellar quest. He was silent for a moment, then slowly spoke. Open the warehouse first. Inspect the accounts. Then ask who is guilty. Deep inside the warehouse gate, a heavy chain snapped. Answer accepted. You did not pass judgment rashly. First floor of the military grain cellar opened. The Blackstone warehouse gates slowly opened.